Since we can see and feel culture and we can now understand how to categorize it, what are some of the tools we can use to learn more about it? By now, we know that culture exists. Some people don't know that. Some people go through their whole lives without knowing what culture is or just having a limited understanding of culture and its effects. If you live in one culture, your own first culture, as my mother and older sister did their whole lives, you don't necessarily see or understand the intercultural conflicts that may occur around you. You may just think the person is rude and generalize from there. I assert that culture is a solution to common human problems and exists to help us interpret the world around us, and as I would assert, maintain peace with others. Cultures have patterns of cultural solutions that help us compare and contrast to differentiate cultures in order to understand them. The way we study culture is anthropological in nature. We watch people and develop explanations. I call this observational method the ODIEH method. Others simply do a DIE method, which is somewhat unfortunate as an acronym. But anyone who watches people and develops theories about what the people are doing is an ethnographer. Clifford Geertz, the grandfather of American anthropology, gives us some ideas as to what this entails. Whenever we observe others, we immediately see communication. Communication begins with a transmitted utterance, according to Burleson. You hear what the person said, and if you have the linguistic proficiency, you comprehend the words, phrases, and behaviors, understanding what is said and interpreting what is said. At this point, a crucial cultural step intervenes as one interprets what the other is trying to really mean with their utterance. Just the words or actions themselves are not alone. Cultural understanding of the way something is said, the interpretation of the act of communicating in the way communicated is act recognition. This goes beyond mere language proficiency and gets at cultural understanding and cross-cultural competence. Once one understands what the other means, then what the other is doing becomes clear, leading to understanding the other's purpose. All of this occurs in a single utterance of a sentence or other communications. One kind of cultural communication is gift giving. What does it mean to give a gift to someone cross-culturally? You may never know, but think about it. The act of gift giving demands thick description, just like the thick description I used to explain what happened in intercultural communication. If there is thick description, there also must be thin description, which is merely the actions of the person. Clifford Geertz also tells us that thick description is what is intended and meant by the person and how it is perceived by others. The data of thick description are our own constructions of the sum total of the thin description and the analysis of that. Writing down what people are doing and analyzing it, checking your understanding with others and with others from the group you're observing results in an analysis that tries to get at the real signification of the signs and symbols. This is the stuff of ethnography. Doing ethnography is like reading a manuscript, which is missing a lot of important pieces and parts that would help us understand what is really going on and what shaped the behavior or was behind the curtain of that behavior. So the ethnographer, according to Geertz, records the signs and their meanings in context through systematic observation and recording and coding of what is going on in the verbal and nonverbal discourse. Geertz also gives us a definition of culture. Actually, he quotes other sources and cites a variety of them. But here is one more, which is culture as a publicly acted document that doesn't exist in someone's head, but when observed, is symbolic action with significance and import. The flow of behavior gives us cultural forms. We observe behavior then to find culture, and we do so by describing it thickly. Geertz dives deeper into what ethnography is. It is interpretive of the flow of social discourse and interaction by recording what is said from its fleeting nature to recording it for microscopic analysis. Geertz's anthropology and ethnography is a movement from intercultural incompetence, the awkward fumbling for understanding, that is working through culture shock, to the supported, understood claims and effective and appropriate actions of the interculturally competent person. All interculturally competent people, therefore, are first and foremost, in terms of skills, good observers and good ethnographers. Here's a very interesting quote from Geertz. The opportunities for interesting reflections come out of this short excerpt. Can you ever know a culture in its entirety, including your own? Is a perfection of consensus good enough for you when it comes to understanding what another culture is? Feel free to pause it here and think about these questions in light of the quote. So ethnography is necessarily inexact and a recording of what people think other people are doing. It is a non-exact, incomplete, yet systematic approach, much like so much knowledge that we encounter in life in the humanities. From all of what Geertz gives us, I think that thick description, which avails itself from strong observation skills, helps us understand others' cultures if we are open to learning about other cultures and to perceiving the cultures and the effects of culture within yourself and those around you. If I don't belong to the group that I am observing, I take an etic perspective. I observe, describe, interpret, explain, and hypothesize as to what is going on. I check my understanding with an emic friend, someone from the culture who can help me to understand better. Then I take that experience and go back out to observe all over again. This iterative process is the ODIEH that I was referring to. As an ethnographer, we observe what is happening around us and record in our minds and memories the different situations in which we find an occurrence, an utterance, or any other element of culture. We describe, preferably thickly, because we have great observational skills, what is going on in our journals or field notes, as ethnographers call their recordings and writings. We do observers' comments as interpretations of what is going on. We evaluate or explain what we are seeing in this thick writing, and we then hypothesize as to what it all means to us and how we may act accordingly to that effectively and appropriately. This iterative process is basic learning. It is qualitative research that can be phenomenological or help us to develop grounded theories. Before the 1970s, these type of research projects was suspect and marginalized. Now it's the only way, in my mind, to understand culture. Thank you, Clifford Geertz, and all other qualitative researchers for giving us a method for approaching research of culture that we can use every day while sojourning among others. Now, if we return to gift giving, we need to look at everything behind it. It demands thick description. If you're interested in getting at some thick description of gift giving, read Marcel Mauss's The Gift. Well, I use these videos as presentations for the courses I teach on intercultural competence. They are also freely available for anyone to watch, so please feel free to like it or subscribe to this channel as you see fit, or to share it. Your feedback is valuable to me to make sure that things are clear to you. And may you find the peace that you are looking for.